Good morning, friends. Well, after a actually fairly frustrating morning, as 2 trains were cancelled, and so I'm an hour later than I hoped I would be. I'm back in the Piazza Maggiore here in Bologna, and behind me is the Basilica of San Petronio. Construction began in 1390, and as you can see, the intended marble facade has remained half finished for all of that time. It's a huge edifice that dominates this piazza, and I have yet to go inside. So that's what I'm about to do. Well, it looks as though my fears were not well founded, because this place is fairly deserted. I mean, maybe 100 people, but as you can see, this place is vast. Absolutely huge. As I said, construction began 1390 and continued for the next 90 years. The Basilica has 22 side chapels, and the last one was completed in 1479. That is a beautiful stained glass window. The central altar is the size of a house. And the vaulted ceiling is just cavernous. Anyway. Okay, this is really, really cool. So, this is a meridian that is 66 meters long. It goes all the way down the left aisle of the Basilica. This thing was built by Giovanni Cassini in the late 17th century. At the time, because of its sheer size and because how Cassini had worked it out, it was the most advanced and precise astronomical tool on the planet. And it allowed him, because the light comes through in an elliptical representation of the sun, and the way it intersects allowed him to calculate things with unprecedented precision, things like the timing of eclipses and solstices. But more than that, it allowed Cassini, just by using this piece of stone that he had designed and had laid in, it allowed him to come up with the first experimental verification of Kepler's laws of planetary motion. Now, as erudite people will know, in 1606, Johannes Kepler, who was a German, before him Copernicus had offered up the first heliocentric model. So instead of everything revolving around the Earth as in the Bible, that we revolve around the sun. Copernicus had worked this out in circles. Kepler had suggested that the movements of the planets were elliptical, and more than that, that they might vary at oblique angle. And this thing that I'm almost standing on allowed Cassini to come up with verification of this theory. And after Cassini came Sir Isaac Newton with his laws of motion. So, I mean, this is incredible because it's just such a blending of religion and science. Isn't that a lovely thing? Like I say, man, 66 meters. Even today, that is just monumental, literally. Anyway. Right, so I sprung the extra €5, which goes towards the restoration of this, the left-hand side of the Basilica, which is the most important side chapels, as it were. One in particular is absolutely stunning. The lady at the gate was very insistent that I not photograph or record in there, so I didn't. But just to go back to the meridian for a second, as I say, just to give you an idea of the scale, it begins all the way over there against the facade wall and continues 66 meters to there. Like I say, just the most precise astronomical. It is Sunday after all.
Voci di gioia, nel nome del Padre, del Figlio e dello Spirito Santo. La grazia del Signore nostro Gesù Cristo, l'amore di Dio Padre, la comunione dello Spirito Santo siano con voi. Questi fratelli e sorelle, l'ultima.
Del suo amore, della sua fedeltà alla casa di Israele. Tutti i confini della terra
It does feel a little bit weird recording when there's a service going on, but since there are very clearly multiple authorized tour groups going around the Basilica, I think it's okay. So that one is the Chapel of the Magi. It's the most ornate, the most beautiful, and the finest of them. And on one wall there is a really quite impressive fresco. It's very Dante-esque because you have paradise with God and the saints and the martyrs at the top, and perdition below with the souls of the sinners being tormented for eternity. It was commissioned by a man in 1408 and completed in 1410. And it's spectacularly well preserved. And my €5 will go towards making sure that stays the case. Very impressive.
E qual è il frutto di questo rimanere unito a Gesù? È l'amore. Abbiamo sentito, ieri sentito lettura del Vangelo. Quella seconda lettura sarà così carissima. Amiamoci uno gli altri perché l'amore è da Dio. E poi affermare, Dio è amore. La festa e con il Padre, Gesù è la manifestazione piena del Padre. Il Santo Vangelo di oggi, Gesù ci esorta dunque a rimanere. Abbiamo sentito la prima lettura, dove Pietro evangelizza i primi pagani, quello
Right, so that done. There are a few things I want to do today. A few places that I have locked in to go and see. But I'm mainly going to do what I always do, which is trust my instincts and follow my nose. This city is so beautiful, and it's a stunning day today. There isn't a cloud in the sky. The sun is bright and very hot, but the shade is nice and cool. Of course, I am slathered in sunscreen. Wear sunscreen, kids. So yeah, but it's really quite a beautiful spring day. I am now going to go and get some food, I think, and then we'll see where fate takes us. I am going to grab one view of the two towers, though. Lord of the Rings reference, Self 5. Yeah, because that is very cool. And there are so many, as you would expect, so many Dotto trains and tour buses and tour groups. Frankly, it sounds like my nightmare. Yes, give me solo travel every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Okay, this is very dangerous. A dedicated, what looks like a flagship Ray-Ban store. I'm going to go inside. Wish me luck. Right, well, that was dangerous. I mean, I realised that I'm wearing a pair of polarised Ray-Bans, and I'm a sucker for Ray-Bans because, honestly, with contact lenses that give me 20/10 vision and polarised Ray-Bans, this is how God must see. It's just amazing optics. But I gave my spare pair of Ray-Bans to my niece, and so I've only got the one pair. And I did look at a pair of amazing green lensed gold classic, they're called Caravan, squared off aviators, and she offered me 25% off. I had to hot tail it out there, otherwise I might have bought them. Anyway, so I'm very glad that I arrived when I did, because this place has kicked off the last couple of hours. It's getting very busy indeed. And a random thought. Right, so police car. Another kind of police car. As I've counted so far, 5 different kinds of cops who are around all the time. You've got the police, you've got the local police, you've got the municipal police, you've got the city police, and you have the carabinieri, who are like the serious, like, state police, paramilitary kind of thing. But it's always, I'm just like, sometimes you have them all in the same place. I'm like, who has jurisdiction here? Is there an organised, table of organisation? Anyway. Oh yes. That is a special edition Harley Davidson Road Glide with a sharp nose fairing. Personally, I'd lose the rear seat and the rear pannier, but that would be a very nice way to tour around. And an Eames chair in the background for fun too. Better. Right, how to combat Italy's rather annoying habit of not having any beer in the fridge in supermarkets. Get a beer, put it into the freezer, and kill a merry 6 or 7 minutes just watching your own videos in an aisle. Worked though. So, the fountain behind me. It was commissioned by the Pope to provide the people of Bologna with a water fountain, which is fair enough. What's interesting is, it's of Neptune. It's of Neptune. So, the church building a statue of a pagan god of the sea, providing water to the people of the city. Interesting. Right, I just splashed out slightly. 25 euros, thank you very much for a very civilized lunch. One of the best lasagnas in Bologna, at the restaurant San Pietro, allied with a very decent Merlot. And I'm off on my last, well, actually my penultimate planned stop for the day, the National Art Gallery. I've heard very good things. There's a book called Tigana by Guy Gavriel Kay. Guy Gavriel Kay is a fantasy writer, contemporary friend of Tolkien, and he helped Christopher Tolkien edit and publish the Silmarillion, which is quite the pedigree. Anyway, his book, Tigana, is about a nation that was destroyed, and the last scions of that civilization are trying to make their way through the world. And one of the characters says, I was born in a vale of the towers. And it's, if you read the book, it's an epic line, and has always stayed with me. And like I say, I have been thinking about that book the last few days. And of course, speaking of Tolkien, the two towers of Bologna.